Hello, everyone. It's Emily. And before we get into our podcast, I wanted to remind all of our listeners that every month, Bernie and I host an Unreasonable Connection event where you can meet your co-working peers, talk, swap stories and advice, and get an extra charge of energy. Sign up on Luma or in the show notes, and let's get on with the podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-working Values podcast, and welcome back to Mr. Mark Masters. Mark, what are you known for? I've got to start it the same way every time, for
we do it, isn't it? It's like stick to the script, isn't it?
Stick to the script. What are you known for this week, and what would you like to be known for next week?
Thank you, Bernie. And hello, everybody. I'm Mark Masters, and I have a community that's called You Are the Media. You Are the Media is all about how we can build, how we can grow, how we can present ourselves and promote our work with other people on our side. This week, I'm in that headspace. Next week, I'm going to be getting my head around preparation for an event called Creator Day.
Gee, Mark, what's Creator Day? This isn't a sponsored post, by the way, but what is? I think it's really important, which is half the reason I dragged you in here. But what is Creator Day, and which seaside town is it in?
Very good. Let's get to the most important bit. Creator Day is an event that's at the seaside. I live in a small town on the south coast of England called Poole, and this is my home, and this is where I lived, and this is where I moved back after living away for a good few years. But Poole is my home, and associated with You Are the Media is occasions where we come together. We have live events in London as well, and since 2022, Creator Day has been a way that brings people together to learn together and to meet and to make connections and new friendships. And that this year's theme is centered around relevance. And we all get a tan at the seaside.
I think it was all right until the tan bit, I thought you were talking about Vigo when you started saying I live in a small town. But what is, I've got to get into the co-working bit. I'm so excited. I was going to deviate over here, but this is what I want to pick your brains about today is all that getting people together thing, and which you talk a lot about in your newsletter, and there'll be a link in the show notes to that, folks. And is I'm going to say it from my perspective. I've run hundreds and hundreds of events, and people, and especially when I ran a co-working space or I've done things in co-working spaces, is people show up. It's all really nice. It all ticks the boxes, but there's something missing. Is that everyone's done what you wanted them to do, but the magic and the pixie dust is not in the room. And how did you? I'm guessing this only works if you have broken through that point, which I assume you have done. But how do you get to shift from events people enjoy and they're at to bonded and always want to see again?
It's just about being at the wheel, and So You and Me has been around since 2013. We started live events in 2016, and we started to make a conference in 2018. What I've realized over the years is you've got to keep at something, and you've got to ride that wave of where we are. I realized that the difficult thing is that I don't want people coming into a room and sitting and listening. Passive learning does not work anymore. So I don't want people coming into that space, but how can we create that space where there is energy and there is a way of people reaching out to others or helping build a conversation? Because you can't be patronizing and say you're going to do your networking in the coffee break or lunchtime. It's just some learning as you're going along, and that's okay, because each year I want to be better at the event that we deliver for people. The way that we structure it is during the morning, people have to step into that space because that's what they're familiar with. And so there is that talk-led space. But in the afternoon is when people come together to work together, to figure out and do something together as a team. But that's only from realizing and tinkering and trying to move the needle each year. Because that's the only way that we can do work that matters, is to understand the people that step inside with us so we can figure this out together. And I've used this as a playground over the years to get to a point that people can now step in and think, yeah, I feel a part of this.
I get it. Yeah. Before we go on, folks, this is not an event hacks podcast. This is like this is the Get Your Shit Together podcast, and one of the reasons I pulled Mark in here as well is we got European Co-working Day coming up, and we're running our How to Run Events in Co-working thing, which is this free online event. And one of the things we always get asked about is how to run events. And some people come to us and say, "How do you run an event?" It's like they're trying to sell something, and they suddenly decide 2 days before the launch to get into LinkedIn adverts and panic. And this is like you just explained, Mark, it's like a long, hard graft over time, not an event salvage podcast.
Yeah, and that's the only way that we learn is that we can learn from reading books, but the only way that we can get better is by doing something and figuring out as we go along. And sometimes we can be unapologetic to say we're trying to understand this, but it just builds bit by bit.
Yep. One thing I've seen you write a few times, which is horrifying but true, is people don't need to go out anymore. And I write this a lot. Like, that talk, I've been writing this for years because I'm really snarky, is that talk could have been a tweet or a podcast. It's like it could have been a blog post. And like, why? I'm trying to find out a more intelligent way of saying, like, why do people come out? Like, what?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That thing. What makes people show up to be together?
Because there has to be a clear reason for someone to make that commitment. Because we understand today that we have time back. Nobody needs to rack up more travel. No one needs to be spending more time away from work, and no one needs to be headspace somewhere else where they may be having a busy week, which means that this what you highlighted there, that people do not need to go out, which is why I kind of highlighted these generic conferences or people that are on a stage that you're listening to doesn't cut it anymore, which is why what we create has to be in a way that people know they're going to be getting a good return, one for their money and two for time away from families, from work. You have to invest that time that people think, yeah, this is right for me. This comes to a place where the other option is staying at home. So anybody that's delivering an event today has to be worth it for the people that are stepping forward. Just I kind of realized this back after COVID. We started to do hybrid events in the theatre. What we did was that we turned the cinema screens into giant Zoom screens. And I found it really hard because I wanted people to come back in 2021 together in the theatre, whereas most people were happy for the hybrid option to be the online option, to stay at home and to be on Zoom. Which is why today, the reason people step outside, there has to be a clear reason and benefit for that person making that commitment.
People say that a lot about co-working spaces. Is like the Patch we both know, and then like Tom who runs Desk Lodge in Bristol, is you have to make it. There's all these different lines around it which work really well for me. Is the experience in the co-working space has to be better than the experience you're getting at home, and even if it is nice in the co-working space or the office for some people, like what is in there, not gimmicks, but like what is in there that will get people in, not even get people in, sorry, that's the wrong terminology, like will make them go, it's worth me, putting some shoes on and getting on a train and commuting and stuff like that. And it's like, you've got to make the commute worth it, kind of thing. I'm going off topic, so I'm going to pull myself back. What is it? I would go in, I think both of us would go and see someone on the stage, but I still do not understand why people will go and see, people like you and me on a stage, like, because we could listen to the podcast or we could see us talking about this on stage live, and we're not Bruce Springsteen and Seal, like, how do people still get away with that? And I know that sounds like a bit snarky, but like I don't understand the attraction of seeing people talk on stage at this stage of the game.
Yeah, listen, I kind of look at this as that you need that. You need that because that helps to give context. But I don't believe today that we can say you can learn and you can 10x your business if you're coming to this event. It's not. It's got nothing to do with that. But it's about the return, and it's about, so if you're seeing people on a stage talking, yeah, you're right. You can get all this now via YouTube. But this is where you have to. This is where we can shift, and where the return comes. The return today is not in seeing that B2B celebrity on the stage and what you're going to learn from it, and that's what that has always been the reason. But the return now for people is, well, what is this return around confidence, this return around kinship, and this return around connection and being around other people, or knowing that the friends are out there amongst us. That's where the shift is coming, where we're seeing this association with other people around that shared space, rather than being about the B2B celebrity on stage. They are there because that's what helps form the whole package, and that's what we've been used to for generations and years of how we go to events. But really, it's what we put the thinking now into the return that someone is going to get from that time that they invest. I think things such as confidence and this idea of connection and just this little boost of our own morale in what is a very difficult world is actually worth its weight in gold, Bernie.
Yeah, there's I'm looking for more and more ways to say it. I think one of my missions at the moment, deliberately, one of my missions at the moment is how to say getting together is important in a way that lands even better, because I see so many people like us and co-working spaces saying, fostering meaningful collaborations and community building. And it's like everyone says that, and you just phase over, and you just can't. You see, I'm going to do another one there. You just can't beat getting together. Like, what does that mean nowadays? It's like all the magic happens by those what we would in our day we would have called water cooler moments.
Yeah. And sometimes we do lean into them a bit too much, and that thing of the coffee breaks and having a cup of tea. Whereas what you're heading to here is that what an opportunity that we have now for this moment in time to be with other people with the same shared mindset is where this now is elevated. Whereas before it was always shifted to the people that you were paying to see. Whereas now what we have is being around like-minded people, because then the moment has gone. But in that moment, you can make so much from it. Whether it is other people that are on your side when you post on LinkedIn, whether it is someone else that can connect you to somebody else, or whether it does lead to an opportunity or whatever a little bit further down the line. It's this acknowledgement today about the power of being around each other than necessarily the intention for people to pay to come to the quality of speakers that are in front of you.
There's the other thing I'm gonna like dive in here before I go off again is that can you explain your ecosystem, because it's out there in the wild, and I've been preaching this to spaces and communities and projects and things for ages, and some of them do it and some of them don't, but you can't just post an event 2 weeks before it's on. And now more than ever, I think, you can't just post an event and expect people to show up. When Andy Bargery and me ran London Bloggers Meetup, which was like thousands of people in 2010 that like blogging, we could press a button. It was like being Robbie Williams. You could press a button on Meetup and like 180 people would RSVP to come in the first day. And mainly that was because we were giving away iPhones and, eBay was sponsoring it and buying all the beer. But I don't think that would happen as much like nowadays. And we didn't have an ecosystem. We just had Meetup,
Yeah. What you're highlighting here is that these things can't exist in isolation, is how it forms part of something much bigger. So whatever we're doing, whatever our intentions are, if we do want to put on an event, you're right. You can't just, because here's the other thing, you can't say we're having an event because that's all you've got to pin all your hopes to, because then the posts that become relentless means that other people switch off. It's not as interesting as it was to you at the start. So how you can find, I look at ways that the events of a way is like the end product. It's the hard work of everything that goes into the months before it. So our event is in May, but I send a newsletter every Thursday. There is a community that's built around it. We have events. We have an event called Lunch Club that brings people together. So this helps when you talk about by having an ecosystem.
And what else is, sorry to interrupt, what else is in your ecosystem, which is what I'm fishing for?
Okay, so we have we got the newsletter every Thursday. We have live events called Lunch Club. We have a membership space called You Are the Media Club as well. So there's these different things that are happening throughout and it's part of a program throughout the year. One is weekly, events are bi-monthly, and then we have a membership space that people come to online as well. But it's having a structure that forms part of a calendar year, and that's what makes all our intentions so much easier. If we want to put on an event, that there is a plan that goes into it that is beyond putting money into paid advertising, but how you don't have to. So I've spent money on advertising to promote our Creator Day, but it's not an awful lot. Whereas what I've exchanged paying for advertising to be that investment of time around this constant narrative, predominantly by a newsletter and the events that we have that are signposting to something that's at the end of the line.
Can you say about the swim? That's what I really wanted you to say.
That'd be a tough one. Me trying to find the link between going swim. We do swimming every Friday. We do it. Yeah, we go swimming every Friday morning at the minute. So we get down there for 7 a.m. But yeah, you're right. Because you're right. That's another thing I've got. There's a WhatsApp group. So the WhatsApp group that brings people together that come swimming, that come to the lunch club events, that come to the main event. There is a WhatsApp group so people can move between the different groups that's happening. I could just sit and talk about swimming all day, though.
Yeah, when we used to do in London, and this is probably when you first started You Are the Media, and I used to run this thing called Tag Tribe, which was the anti-networking group, and we met for breakfast every 2 weeks because it accidentally it started out as the breakfast networking group, and then we would have and this is where we first sort of started co-working, because we would sit in the places we went for breakfast, and then a load of us would just stay around afterwards. Mark Williams was one of those people who's now down with you. We would crack open our laptops, heavy as they were then, and I found the conversations that happened while we were working together. Someone would go like, "Oh, what are you doing? I'm working on my website. What is it? Is it WordPress? Yeah. Like, I don't know where this button is." And then Mark would go, "Oh, in the top right-hand corner, there's this." And then like all these conversations you could never stage would start happening. And I say a lot. I sat in a co-working space for 3 years next to Niels, who was a WordPress developer, and I learned more in micro learning off of him looking at my screen going, "Don't press that, it's going to blow up," than if I'd sat down and done a course, because it was like just in time learning. What were we saying before we came on? So do you remember, can you say about that? Before we came on, we were talking about how things get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you lose that connection. Like I'm not saying it's the only way you can do it, but if I'm in an environment, particularly a co-working space that's more than 150 people, I find it kind of draining, and I start to like disconnect because I can't connect with everyone. I kind of find myself unconsciously disconnecting because I can't get to everyone. So oddly, I don't think it's the right thing to do, but like I don't connect to anyone because I can't connect to everybody. And that is that scaling thing is difficult.
Yeah, it is because that's the way that we've lived, is that bigger is always seen as better, whereas the other side is, what if we made something that was intended for the right people and not everybody? So where we are, Creator Day audience is 200. My goal for it is 300 people. I don't listen, maybe if it does hit 300, I don't want to be the person that says I now want to aim for 2,000. But the reason is because you can still build these events. You can still make money and profit and build something from it. I don't want to hide away from that. But what I want to do is I want to say thank you to people. I want to know people by their first name. So the ways that we encourage around this is around little pre-events that we have that people come together. Not everyone has to come to it, and I don't want people to come to a place where they feel overawed and there's too much people, there's too much noise, because then we get lost. That's the other side to it, is that when we put on events and we always have this intention for more and to build more, that means that you forget more people. Whereas, as I said at the beginning, that investment of time away from family, that time to step away from work, that means a lot. So it means a lot to say to someone, thank you, I appreciate you kind of putting that time aside. We're still doing this to build businesses as well, which is why I mean there are other means that you can bring people on. Not just everything is centered around an event, but how we have other means as well of a membership space as well that people can join in. There's ways with the newsletter as well where we focus on each other. So it's in this thing about we're always pushing the envelope for more. Whereas isn't it better to create something where you're learning with everybody else, but you're doing it with the right people? So when we all come back together, we're looking forward to seeing each other. But we welcome new people in as well. But that's a much more rewarding and enriching experience than having Utopia seen as more and more people, because you just had more layers. You just had more layers to it then, and it gets more complicated. And you still want to be there at the front and to see people at the start and at the end of the day and enjoy the time together.
There's so many things I particularly in co-working that I used to go to, and I still like the people that run them, and I still like the people that go to them, but it's just like so huge, and partly because of just the way my brain and body works, I just get overwhelmed with so many things. But you used to be able to go to events and know nearly everybody in the room, and anyone you didn't know, someone else knew, so you'd end up talking to them anyway. And now there's just so many. It's like being at Heathrow Airport when there's been all the flights are cancelled, and I can't finish that analogy, but
good one. It's a good one. This melee of people just milling around, barely looking at one another in the eye because they're waiting for the next thing. That's a good one though. That's a good thread to pick up on.
Thank you for saving me there. So as we conclude our time together here, Mark, so we've been doing all these events, online events, talking about how to run an event and stuff like that. And just in those conversations and in, working with people, is everyone's like, and we talked about it here, like, tighter budgets, higher expectations. How do we get people there? Like if you were sat down with a little room of co-working space owners and community managers, and they said, like, Mark, tell us one thing. I don't want to say move the needle.
That's a big one. There's two sides. The first is this is all about the audience. Is that we need to know the people that are with us, that stand alongside us, that sit with us. So we need to understand who these people are. So there's one side there, the people that are with us, and that's so important, because then you can gradually build alongside these people that are with you. So when you got the audience, you know the people that are with you, the people that put their hands up and want to step forward into it with you. And the second bit is how you want to create that experience. What is that experience? Or what is that experience that people aren't necessarily getting? Old money would be the conference format. We start at 9:30. You're going to sit there at 5:00. You're still going to be sitting there. That's fine. But if you know that if you have the right people with you, what is that experience you're going to create that is intended to enhance the depth of connection, not between you and the people that are coming, but between each other? That's what I would advise. That's my ways to make it feel easier for so many people.
And you can take that to the bank. All right. We're going to put links to everything in the show notes, but like, what do you want to, if you tell me now and I can just get AI to read it back to me later. Like, what?
Listen, the easiest place is to I send the You Are the Media newsletter every Thursday morning about 6 a.m. So that's the good place where everything starts. We keep everyone updated, and should people want to join in with that. So the You Are the Media newsletter, get ChatGPT to find the URL for the newsletter, and we're all happy.
Does that work in other AI things? Can you say what's in that newsletter? Because no one wants to sign up for a newsletter, but they do want to start. Why? Like, not why. It is. It's not just like, here's what I had for breakfast. It's almost as good as this podcast.
you have so everything is all about the newsletter is what we can figure out to build our own audience. So how we can build an audience through our voice and the connections that we have without being over reliant on an algorithm or a middleman. Community is central to all this. So how can we build this space where we feel that others feel a part of and most importantly enjoy? So this newsletter, this every Thursday morning. It's me, it's other people that contribute to this newsletter as well. So
well worth it. And even if you know everything about everything like I do, it's still worth reading it just to get the prompts, you know. Not when I say the prompt, get reminded is actually things. It's really well done. And that's it. So thank you very much again for your time and attention, Mark Masters. And if you go to our show notes, which we're very proud of, there's all those links there. There's a link to the Coworking LinkedIn group, and there's a link to European Coworking Day, which even if you're listening to this podcast in September 2027, will still be the same URL. And wherever you are in the world, be careful out there. It is a jungle. Say goodbye, Mark.
Bye, Bernie.